Forum is we have invited the candidates for mayor in to chat with us about some topics where politics and sports kind of meet, right? Like we do sports here, and so there are some areas where politics and sports end up meeting and some important topics that we wanted to discuss with various candidates. We are joined now here in studio by Madam Mayor Sheila Dixon, who is with us on GCR. Madam Mayor, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in to chat with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess the first question is, have you been able to get over to Coppin at all? How excited are you about your nephew and what he's been able to do in his coaching career now? And did you see this coming for him? Did you think he was going to be a coach one day?
Yes, I did, because I know that he always in his career after playing, that's what he wanted to do, work with young people and coach. I know his ultimate goal is to get back to College Park.
Yeah, I mean they're doing all right now. Yeah. So they're not in the market at the moment.
Right.
Not at the moment.
But he's doing a great job at Coppin. I was at the game Saturday. That was their homecoming. They played Delaware State, and they actually beat. So that was a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, where Coppin was and what he's done, pretty remarkable. I mean, they were struggling to win any games at all.
Right. They've done a phenomenal job. He has a good team. And next Saturday they play Morgan. So it's interesting.
That game means a little bit, just a little bit. That's kind of important.
They play Morgan again.
Yeah,
but
correct.
the thing is, my son goes to Morgan.
I didn't know that.
Coppin.
Oh.
So.
Wait, do you get one of those like split jerseys? Do you do like the half Morgan, half Coppin? I don't think you'd be allowed to. I don't think anybody would be okay with that.
No. And the interesting thing is that Morgan's, we were celebrating at my church Sunday, Bethel A&M, Black History Month, and Morgan and the coach and the football team, basketball team was at Bethel.
That's cool.
And the coach looked at me. He saw my name tag because I had to serve, and he said, "You won, son?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I said I was at the game too, and they won." He said, "Don't come to Morgan."
Well, it's great to see you. We got a lot to talk to you about today. I'm going to start with one that obviously you had to deal with before as mayor, and that's the Preakness issue. And it appears as though this is going to come to a head likely before you would take office again if you end up being elected. But just want to get your thoughts, the what's been put into place, the agreement as it exists right now. Are you on board with it? Do you think this is what's best for the community, not just for Park Heights, but for the city as a whole?
Well, Preakness is important for the city. Preakness is important for that community. I have been following it, but I'm not sure where they are now with the whole plan. But I believe that the information that I have gotten, that it's important to make sure that that we stabilize the Preakness, that we fix Pimlico racetrack so that we can have more activities going on over the year, as well as that community has to play a huge role in what happens.
Of course, cannot abandon Park Heights in the process of doing something along these lines.
No, you have to.
Madam Mayor, you obviously know a little bit more about what's happened in the past, right? Like when the Jockey Club said the decision to not have slots here really hurt us, like really put us behind the eight ball, and obviously that was one that went to a referendum as well. There is a topic that's kind of walking hand in hand with the future of Preakness and Pimlico, and that's sports betting, right? And that appears to be something that's going to be coming in the next couple of years. So I guess generically we'll start with, are you okay with the idea of sports betting coming to the region? And then do you feel like it's important that a revitalized Preakness, a revitalized Pimlico would specifically be somewhere where you could have sports betting in comparison to, say, the casinos and the stadiums, things along those lines?
Well, I'm not a gambler, but I know that people do sports.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it.
And people want it. I think that we're behind the eight ball. I think that we might not have to be looking at changing the tax scale and being able to fund current commission if we had been more aggressive in creating that opportunity. So I know that it's on the agenda for this General Assembly session. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it's going to help to bring in revenue, because this is a source that people make choices with.
Yep.
And that it can help in creating and attracting people to the Pimlico, then go for it. But I want to make sure that, with those revenues and those resources, that we, put some aside to redevelopment Park Heights, that we put some aside to make sure that we are dealing with the people within that community. It's important, as well as the young people that go to the schools in that community.
I guess, and maybe, do we need it? Do we need for the future of Pimlico? Can there be a facility that is used for events and other things, and obviously the Preakness, that doesn't have sports betting, and it can be viable? Or in order to make it viable, does it almost need to include sports betting just because the nature of it being a track?
I probably not the best person to ask that question because, for me, they probably wouldn't get much money out of sports betting from me.
Yeah, sure. You're not going to be over there every day.
But if it's a source that's going to help us not to tax people.
Sure.
See, that's my belief, that if it's another source, because it's a choice that people do.
Yep.
But, I don't want to see us paying more money in taxes because we need to rescind taxes in the city in particular. So I would say that if it's something that's going to generate the kind of money that's going to help us to create that environment that we need, then go for it, as long as it doesn't tax the citizens in addition to the many taxes that we currently pay.
She is Mayor Sheila Dixon. She's with us here in studio for our GCR Mayoral Forum. Mayor, you were certainly involved in a lot of conversations about the arena when you were in charge of the city. And I remember, do I remember correctly at one point that you would, the WNBA was something that you were pursuing, right? As being something that could help in this process. Here we are again, and I want to be clear, because I've said this with everybody that's come in, I'm going to say the same thing. When we have this conversation, in no way am I taking anything away from Frank Remish and his team and what they've done. It is truly remarkable how they have made this facility, as old as it is and in some ways dilapidated, they have made it a viable, thriving facility despite those things.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
This is still a conversation that exists.
But I agree. I had this conversation maybe about a week ago with some Greater Baltimore Committee folks. And I believe that, number one, it needs to stay where it is.
Okay.
I also believe that we can redevelop it, and while it's still open, and expand it there in that footprint.
You're talking more about a renovated arena than a brand new arena.
If we can do a brand new arena and not have to eliminate any events, then let's do it. But I don't think we need to move it in another area because it's right centrally by the convention center, which we're looking at expanding. You have public transportation through light rail, subway. And I think that area in itself can help if we, renovate it, create, it's just like we've done with some schools where we didn't tear down the school, but we built onto the school. And I think we could do that with that arena.
Is there private support? There was a lot about the Whiting Turner and certainly some of the things we'd heard in the past about, is there private support to get something like that done in the near future?
I think with the right team and the right leadership and vision in the city that we can get, it's going to have to take private investment. I know that there's some conversations about someone funding an arena in another area of the city, but if we can come up with a good plan, I think that private investment would be definitely beneficial.
I get that there are more pressing issues that you're going to face if elected as mayor, but it feels like these types of things sort of walk hand in hand.
But keep in mind, we lose really large artists coming to Baltimore unless we have them at the stadiums and other events that we can attract, along with we're going to be focus next year on the big basketball tournament that's coming here, the CIAA coming here.
Yep.
And so, I know when I attend events there, and the team is doing a great job, but it's tight. It's tight in there.
Yeah. Oh, it's certainly not. And look, we think it's been 26 years now since the NCAA tournament has been the Baltimore. There are certain types of events that is again taking nothing away from. And I feel like it's really important that we keep saying this because I think it's a remarkable story.
No,
what's happened.
It is.
It's a remarkable story.
And the fact that they've been able to attract new investment.
It's incredible.
Rural farms
absolutely
and others.
Incredible. But there's still a limit to it.
Yes,
it is. And I think what we're all saying is, hey, we want these people to be in charge because they're clearly doing a great job. We just want them to be in charge of a
better
more
facility, more modern. Yes, I agree with that.
The future,
but I agree it needs to be where it is.
Okay,
and I think
right in that specific
in that
location.
area, right there.
Okay, The future of the Baltimore Orioles has been something that has come up a little bit because there is a lease that's about to come up but with the team in the city, and it has not been agreed to, and there's some nervousness about the future of the Baltimore Orioles. John Angelo said, hey, as long as Fort McHenry is standing watch over the harbor, we're not going anywhere. But a lot of people say, okay, then sign the lease, right? Are you at all apprehensive about the future of the Baltimore Orioles?
The Baltimore Orioles are part of Baltimore. It's part of the landscape. It's part of the climate. It's part of people's everyday conversation, that go on during the spring and summer and while they're traveling over into warm weather right now. And so, I hope and pray that we can get them to sign a lease and be there because, it's like apple pie, It's like ice cream on top of apple pie.
It's part of the furniture, right? Yeah.
It's like the peanuts that are roasted at Lexington Market. We definitely have to come up with a plan and make sure that we do keep them there. It's a lot of investment that went into the stadium.
Sure, of course. I can't imagine the stadium sitting. Could you imagine somebody abandoning Oriole Park at Camden Yards? That's insane. That being said, there have been smaller and smaller crowds that have been coming downtown to go to games.
But I think it has more to do with the team and what needs to happen.
So let's talk about that because certainly, I think if they were winning, no doubt, there'd be more people there. But there is a perception from people throughout the state that they don't want to come downtown anymore because of crime, because of fears that they have, because of headlines that have existed in the past, because of what happened post Freddie Gray, whatever it is, right? Like there's this fear that sort of exists elsewhere in the state. Do you feel as though the Baltimore suffers from a perception problem, or is there a reality that needs to be addressed in order to get more people to start coming back downtown and going to baseball games?
I think it's both. And yes, we have to do more to protect and take care of people and make sure that they feel safe. The visibility of police officers walking the beat, walking downtown, walking in our neighborhoods, we need that more and more. But I think in the case of people not coming to the Oriole games, it's a different story. I think it's because the Orioles are not winning, and so we need to do some changes. Not we, because we can't, but the owners.
Wait, you mean to tell me the mayor doesn't have that power? We got to look into that.
The mayor doesn't have that power, but the owners of the Orioles do. But I think that just look at when we have Raven games. People come to Baltimore. They go to the restaurants, but we have to do a better job as a city with making sure that they feel safe when they come here. Well, we have police officers walking the beat. Well, we have our officers in our neighborhoods as well in the downtown area so people can feel safe. And we need to do a better job with that.
Is improving public transit also part of that problem?
Definitely improving public transportation is important. Yes, we have the light rail. We have the subway. I think we need to look at a more comprehensive approach when people come into the city to encourage them to take more public transportation versus driving in. Of course, we have parking lots, et cetera. But, I think working with the state and looking at what the current infrastructure that we're facing, we can do a better job. We can maybe expand the circulator during certain times of games to pick up people since it's a free transportation. Along with, let's keep in mind, though, too, let's come up with ways to get local people in Baltimore City to participate and attend games and things like that.
It's not just bringing people in from outside, that you want to have the people that are in the city embracing as well and making the walk over to the ballpark or hopping in an Uber, something along those lines.
Hopping in the Uber. We have bike lanes now. People can ride bikes. You can take the scooters. We have different modes of transportations that can really help to accommodate. And hopefully, as we improve on these infrastructure methods, that people will drive in less with cars.
It's interesting that you bring up the comparison. I've heard that from a few people who said, look, people will come to Ravens games. Like, they will. They're showing up almost like the event demands it, right? Yeah. Like, whatever your fears that you've talked about in the past, you're saying the event demands it. But yet, you'll still hear those conversations. You'll still people say, yeah, but I don't really want to come down for an Orioles game. The event doesn't demand me matching maybe whatever my fears or my presupposed beliefs are about the city.
But the question is why?
Right.
I think it goes back to the fact that, and we have great players on the Oriole team, but
hopefully more coming.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the next
but we
couple
got
of
to
years.
do a little bit better. I mean, sometimes when we play certain teams like the New York Yankees and the Red Sox,
Certainly, there's yes,
you get a lot of folks coming from those teams coming here. But
do you trust the relationship with the Angelos family, that they are committed to the city of Baltimore?
I think they are. I mean, I can't imagine them not being. I mean, and I believe that they are. Mr. Angelos, Peter Angelos, is getting older.
Yep.
His sons are taking on more control. I think it's really about the kind of conversation. And this is where the leader of the city, the mayor of the city, I remember once a month I would go and meet with Mr. Angelos. We would just sit down and I would listen to whatever his concerns are and just chat and address any issues that he might have. And I don't know if the current mayor or other mayors did the same thing, but you kind of have to do that. You have to talk to folks. You have to find out what some of the challenges they are. What is it that we can do to not only get them to, one, attract more people here for the games, but also what can we do to help as a city? I'm
interested in your perspective. Obviously, you've been in these shoes before. Like, what this is like. When you have something like Lamar Jackson right now in this city and what it did, like what is the real impact for a city as a whole? It's easy for us to say, hey, it puts a lot of smiles on people's faces. We all walked around throwing high fives for a little while. Everybody was really happy. But what's the real impact for an entire city? And I don't want to be trite about it. Like, I get that there are bigger problems.
Right. Well, but it's not only just a city, but also the surrounding counties in the state. People have a sense of pride, with themselves, that they have this great team, that they have these individuals who are part of a team. It's like a camaraderie of greatness that you can feel. You have a sense of the energy level is higher. People will go out and come down to restaurants and spend money, which then we generate into taxes that we benefit for services that we provide in the city.
Is it easier to do business with, to attract other events? Is there a tangible benefit in that way?
Oh, no, definitely is a tangible benefit. And you see that as it relates to when we have Raven games and even Oriole games, where people are hanging out at restaurants and coming down to other events. Because a lot of times people have this perception, and then when they come into the city,
right,
and they see that, what are people saying? We have incidents that happen, but again, having the presence of officers in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and downtown, and in our various areas is important. To have that.
I think there's no doubt about that. All right, Sheila Dixon, where can people, social media-wise, where should people be following you right now?
People can go on DixonForBaltimore.com, and they can follow me on my website or my Instagram, as well as Twitter and Facebook, all those modes.
Is it at Sheila Dixon Balt? Is that the correct Twitter account? At Sheila Dixon Balt is the Twitter account for people to follow the campaign and what it is that you guys are up to. Madam Mayor, I really appreciate you coming in to talk about these topics with us. Again, I understand that there are far more pressing issues that are facing the city.
But this is important too, because a city thrives based on having great teams and events going on in our city.
No doubt about it.
And so we have these pressing issues, but we also have a great city. We have great museums. We have great institutions. We have great neighborhoods and communities. And, we have to really highlight and show people that we have wonderful places in the city. I mean, just look at what's happened over here.
Hamden.
You remember what this community used to look like?
It didn't look like this. There's no doubt about it. The Union Collective, just in the last couple of years, has really brought some new life.
A lot of restaurants.
No doubt.
People live right over here. I remember when we worked on the Clipper Mill project.
Yep.
Just over the road, which then expanded.
It's
over
incredible,
here.
and still continuing.
The bike trail that goes through this area up through Drew Hill Park.
It's really neat. It's a really
and when
neat
people
area.
Actually get out and they see and they come and visit,
it's so funny.
They're amazed.
Mary, it's so funny you said that. Before we moved the office here, I had never spent, and like everybody else, I go and look at the lights, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was
on 34th Street.
That's a sort of my like Hamden. I'd spent a few nights at Holy for Holies. Like, that was about my Hamden experience. Then we moved here. I'm like, oh my, this is incredible. This part of town is absolutely awesome. I love this neighborhood so much. I actually wish I was 10 years younger because I'd hang out here all the time. Unfortunately, I got to go home and take the kids. But like, I love this part of town.
But once one development happens, then other people begin to invest. And we have to do this in some of our neighborhoods where we haven't put the kind of investment. We have to look at recreating neighborhoods like Sandtown, where the Freddie Gray incident happened, or Park Heights, as a result of the Pimlico.
No question.
Having those additional resources is just going to help to enhance those communities.
No doubt about it. Madam Mayor, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time. And we will wish you the best of luck. If we are talking again as a candidate for mayor, hope that you would be willing to come in and join us again before November.
Thank you. So you're taking, are we taking
yeah,
a
we're
picture?
Take, we can act normal.
Let me just explain why I'm like this.
Oh.
The one thing that I try to do on a daily basis, and since this campaign, I've missed a couple days, is I have to work out. And so I went to my trainer this morning because I had to release a lot of frustration. Because yesterday I had a really bad day, and I needed to make sure that this day started off great. Well, Not only by waking up and thanking God first and foremost, but then getting my workout.
Well, I promise we didn't do a close-up. Yeah. We just did a candid.
That's fine, but I just did a... when it's put out there, I want folks to know.
Yeah,
Most people do know when I'm like
coming right from... Did you do that before?
I went to the gym, to my office, to here.
I have to... You know what? It's so funny. I finally got into shape like 2 years ago. I finally got my life together. And my gym is actually right here. It's Meadow Mill, right here in the building. And they're wonderful, by the way. It's a great place to go work out. And I do this now where I start calculating, like, where can I go without having to take a shower? Like, I'll let my kids and my wife, they just have to deal with it. Like, I'm not taking a shower before I come home. That's your problem, right? Like, that's the way that it goes. I don't care how I'm dressed, anything along those lines. But I start, like, doing the thing where I'm like, could I get away with going to dinner, wearing my workout clothes, if we only go to like a little cafe? Like I start doing that math.
Yeah.
We're like, what can I get away with without
I know the feeling. I do the same thing.
It's tough, right? Like you said, I'm just coming in to have a conversation about like sport. I don't need to worry about putting on. I totally get it. I completely understand.
I got to get dressed later today, and I will for some evening meetings. But I had to do it.
No doubt. Thank you for coming in, Madam Mayor.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.